In a world increasingly defined by defense alliances and technological warfare, a new partnership is quietly reshaping the balance of power in the Middle East. In the shimmering capital of Doha, as the sun dipped behind the skyline, two nations, Turkey and Qatar, quietly signed a pair of documents that could reshape defense dynamics in the Middle East. Two new deals, signed during President Erdogan's visit to Qatar, mark not just another agreement, but a deepening strategic bond between two nations whose interests have been closely intertwined for more than a decade. According to Turkey's defense industry secretary, the first agreement with Barzan Holding, a firm directly linked to Qatar's Ministry of Defense, lays out a long-term roadmap for cooperation in research and development, joint production, technology transfer, and system integration. Erdoğan announced the signing on Turkish social media platform Ensosyal, calling it a step toward deeper integration of Turkey's high-tech defense solutions with partner and allied nations. The second memorandum expands this cooperation further, focusing on strategic alignment in capability development, co-production, and technological innovation. While bureaucratic in language, these MOUs carry a powerful subtext: the beginning of joint defense ecosystems that could bind the two nations for decades. But to truly understand the importance of these agreements, we need to look back at the long arc of Turkey-Qatar relations. Their partnership wasn't born out of convenience, it was forged in crisis. In 2017, when Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt imposed a sweeping blockade on Qatar, cutting off trade, flights, and even food supplies, Turkey was one of the first nations to come to Doha's aid. Within 48 hours, Turkish cargo planes were landing in Qatar, carrying food and essential goods. Ankara also rushed to approve a defense agreement allowing Turkish troops to be deployed to its military base in Qatar, a move that immediately shifted the balance of power in the Gulf. That moment cemented the Turkey-Qatar bond, turning it from a friendly relationship into a strategic alliance based on survival and solidarity. Since then, defense cooperation has become the core of their relationship. Turkey's defense industry, which has expanded at an unprecedented rate under Erdogan's rule, found an enthusiastic partner and investor in Doha. Between 2020 and 2024, Qatar emerged as one of the top 5 buyers of Turkish defense products, acquiring Bayraktar TB2 drones, Kirpi armored vehicles, and Aris shipyard naval systems. Turkish companies like Aselsan and Roketsan have become regular collaborators with Qatar's Ministry of Defense. Barzan Holding, the same firm involved in this week's agreements, is a state-owned defense conglomerate established in 2018 with the goal of building Qatar's own military-industrial base. Through partnerships with international firms, from the UK's BAE Systems to Turkey's STM, Barzan acts as both investor and knowledge bridge. For Qatar, partnering with Turkey's fast-growing defense sector provides access to affordable high-tech weaponry and the know-how to produce it domestically. For Turkey, it means new markets, capital inflow, and influence in one of the world's wealthiest and most strategically located states. For Ankara, the deal is about more than business. It's about power projection. Over the past decade, Turkey has transformed itself into a defense powerhouse. Once reliant on NATO imports, it now produces over 80% of its military equipment domestically. From Bayraktar and Akinci drones to the Altay main battle tank, the TFX Khan fighter jet, and Anadolu-class amphibious assault ship, Turkey's defense industry has become a symbol of national pride and independence. By exporting that expertise, Turkey extends its geopolitical reach, embedding its systems, doctrine, and technology within the militaries of friendly states. These exports are not just about hardware. They are about influence, creating long-term dependencies that anchor Turkey's position in global and regional security networks. For Qatar, the logic is equally strategic. Though immensely wealthy, it remains a small state surrounded by larger rivals, a geographic reality that makes military alliances essential. While it hosts the US Al Udeid Air Base, Qatar learned during the blockade that American guarantees alone could not shield it from regional isolation. Turkey, with its combination of political independence and military capability, offered something the West could not: a partnership unburdened by dependency. Through defense cooperation, Qatar not only diversifies its security partners, but also positions itself as an emerging hub for indigenous defense production. The focus on technology transfer ensures that Qatari engineers, scientists, and companies will gain the experience needed to design, assemble, and eventually innovate homegrown systems, an ambition Doha has long pursued under its National Vision 2030 plan. This partnership is also deeply rooted in shared ideology and regional outlook. Since the Arab Spring of 2011, Turkey and Qatar have often backed similar political movements, particularly Islamist or populist factions, in countries like Egypt, Libya, and Syria. Their coordinated policies in those conflicts positioned both as challenges to the Gulf status quo, often putting them at odds with Saudi Arabia and the UAE. But while ideological alignment gave them common cause, defense cooperation gives them durability, turning soft political sympathy into hard military capability. Together, Ankara and Doha have effectively built an alternative power axis in the Middle East, one that mixes Turkey's defense manufacturing with Qatar's financial strength and diplomatic agility. The timing of these latest deals is no coincidence. Turkey is rapidly expanding its defense exports, which surpassed $5.5 billion in 2023, a record figure that placed it among the world's top 10 arms exporters. Its drones are now used from Ukraine and Azerbaijan to Libya and Ethiopia. Qatar's participation strengthens that trajectory. Barzan Holding has already invested in joint drone development programs, naval systems, and cyber defense research, areas Turkey sees as the next frontier of warfare. The new memorandums likely extend into AI-driven battlefield technologies, electronic warfare, and autonomous defense platforms, all central to Turkey's vision for a self-sufficient, export-oriented defense economy. Moreover, the deal fits into Ankara's broader push to expand defense diplomacy beyond the Middle East to Africa, South Asia, and Central Asia, forming a global web of partnerships centered on technological cooperation instead of traditional alliances. But there's also a message embedded here, one directed toward both Washington and Riyadh. As the US recalibrates its presence in the Middle East and Gulf monarchies diversify their alliances, Turkey and Qatar are signaling that they can chart an independent security path. A path built not on Western guarantees, but on shared regional capabilities. In a sense, these deals are about self-reliance, about building an ecosystem where Middle Eastern nations design, manufacture, and maintain their own defense systems without waiting for permission or protection from abroad. For now, the precise content of the Turkey-Qatar agreements remains undisclosed, but their trajectory is clear. This is not a short-term arrangement. It's a strategic alignment that will shape both countries' defense landscapes for decades to come. Each drone, missile, or radar system jointly developed under this cooperation is more than a product. It's a symbol of a shifting order, one where technology, not ideology, defines influence, and where two ambitious nations, one with industrial might, the other with immense wealth, converge to build a new model of power in the 21st century. And as new machines of defense take shape under the desert sun, one thing is clear: the future of Middle Eastern power is being engineered, not in Washington, not in Moscow, but in Ankara and Doha.